Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah.
Bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa rahmati wasi'at kulli shay. I'd like to share with you, Shaykh Saadi and Adnan, a conclusion that I have been confirmed in more and more and more, and I'm sure both of you are, that we have evolved through the rise in consciousness and the refined intelligence we have from seeing differences, diversities, tribalism, this ism, that nationism, this religion, that scripture, this revelation, that, to the point where all of these issues will recede into their original pure energy background if we consider the most amazing gifts of all. And it is a quantum state of realization that there is an entity, there is a reality, there is a cosmic zone, penetrates everything, gives rise to everything, receives back everything. It's called the mysterious, ever-governing perfection of the divine reality. If you accept that there is a perfect justice that mirrors upon you and enables you to see what you did, لِنُرِيَهُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا. There are numerous other ayahs so that we excel in our intention and action, meaning ultimately doing what is decreed. You are not the doer anymore. Allah is doing it and you are participating. You're allowed to be touched by that grace. Then you connect the infinite and the finite, which is you, and the boundless, eternal, timeless, and the one which has got a birth and death, which is the so-called you. So that نذيقهم بعض الذي. So you taste it. You realize كان الله ولم يكن شيء معه وهو كما كان. So as now you're ready, يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية وادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. Now you're ready for the next phase of consciousness, where there is none of this illusion of independent you. And there is a you, tiny little participative you. This is part of Allah's extra generosity. Once you know that there is this divine, all-encompassing, unfathomable power of reality, then لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Then what are you complaining about? You have done your duty by Allah's grace, by Allah's generosity, by Allah's permission. Now, ادخلي في عبادي. Now you are in a state of worship. And then you are in the Jannah. There is only the Jannah. And if there is a fire or there is hell, is only because of duality in contrast. Until such time, you really are in the other zone. هذا ما أوتينا من قبل. You know there is only that. Listen, the rest is for you to work it out. Let it fall off. Like various, if you like, skins or various fields of energy that recede, finish. Now you are truly Abdullah. You see through the nur of Allah. You are at comfort and ease because of the divine presence. And whenever there is duality and there are animosities, there are discord, you see the origin of it is accord and the destiny of it is accord. And in between is the tiny little dynamics in order to show there is the shadow, and that reinforces the presence of the light. So my conclusion is that when you realize there is a master, controller, governor, owner of it all, known and unknown, then what's the problem? Now, truly, you are in joyful, celebratory submission and surrender. Okay, what can there ever be anything better than that? فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور? Look back again. Can you improve on it? It's impossible. So you have helped in a way by grace to shed these skins and the illusions that I've done this and I've done that and I've been kind and I've been generous and I prefer them to myself. There is no self. It's an illusion. To find any way than means that find a cause to have it preferable. How do you know it is a good thing to prefer somewhere over yourself? That's a big grace. Where did that light of grace come to you? It's from Allah. Until such time, قُلْ كُلٌّ مِّنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. And there's no longer freedom or liberation. This is full, timeless, eternal embrace. The one and only embrace that is transcends all times and places and situations. This is celebratory. Then you have Eid, Eid, Eid. That's perpetual Eid. The rest were rehearsals for something that very few people may attain. So to realize this, to understand and live by and celebrate that amazing presence that's beyond all presences is the ultimate gift of it. So once you know this is the purpose, then you won't ask what religion, what sect, what background. Those were necessary part of outer evolution from the moment of kun fayakun or the Big Bang or whatever name you like to give it in the boundless, countless multiverses. How many other universes are there like that? You don't know. But once you realize whatever is known or unknown is according to perfect patterns, and the designer of this pattern is in it, within it, above it, before it, and after it. Or what you can say, Subhanallah, and faint. And then wake up in eternity. Oh, هذا ما أوتينا من قبل. This was eternal anyway. This was timeless. Subhanallah. What little we know. What little we know. That's it. So يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية وادخلي في عبادي. Then after you're in perfect ubudiyya, you're in the Jannah. وادخلي Jannah. The rest is according to the state of your ability to shed off the illusion of the doer you. It's the childish that we all go through. Childishness we all experience. Who was the original doer? And what energy was it for that transfer to make me imagine I am doing it? I am now kind. How do you know kindness is good for you? How do you know giving that which you want to keep is better for you? So that you lose the illusion of accumulating the so-called you to give it this illusion of some semblance of reality. Reality is timeless, boundless, eternal. Once it becomes within space and time, it's mimicking its origin. Once you've discovered that this is the ultimate discovery, then you truly are content and you're really amongst those who will have least harm brought about in the dynamics of good and bad, up and down, acceptable, rejectable. The rest is like a kindergarten, and a person needs to grow. Until such time he loses, there was no such thing as a person. And all what you can do is apologize. All what you can do is astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. May you forgive me. Allah is the all forgiver, but you too try and forgive me also. And if you don't know, I do my best to ask forgiveness, and I know Allah is all forgiving. Thank you. Allah, what a relief, what a relief. The rest is all wahm. And that wahm gives value to situations. They didn't respect me. They didn't give me my view. They didn't acknowledge that I am the source of this generosity. They didn't blame, or endless, this stupid little monument of the origin of visible ego and lower self. Shame. What a waste of life. So that's the whole situation. Once you realize, then you are a true friend, as you two wonderful beings are to me. That's it. And that's why we would like to have more of that, because it's a proof of the culmination of rise in consciousness and in intelligence and in divine presence. So this is what I wanted to share with you both, that the ultimate purpose is to realize the most perfect controlling center, which is also in the peripheral, which is also around the boundaries, which is all within and within and within. And this is the mystery of all mystery. Everywhere it touches, it's the center. And everywhere you see, it is the original essence, and so on and so on and so on. That's the story. فَإِنَمَا تُوَلُّ ثَمَّ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ. What a relief. And if that is not enough, nothing can be enough. أَلَيْسَ اللَّهَ بِكَافٍ عَبْدًا. But for that, you need friendship. You need your little tribe. Maybe one person, maybe two, maybe. And it increases. And there are more of them. And then it reaches a point where you think it is barren. It's not. There are still those arwah that are truly in full recognition of the cosmic ruh, because it has been exposed to the rububiyyah. Alastu bi rabbikum qalu bala. So the ruh had taken the imprint of the cosmic lordship. That's it. So what I wanted to share with you is that if there is a true realization that ends up the illusion of searching, the illusion of realizing, the illusion of identifying, the illusion of salvation, the illusion of freedom, is this. There is a divine controlling cosmic field that puts everything where it is appropriate for it. It could be at the lower end of consciousness, could be at the higher end of consciousness. It could be at the pinnacle of intelligence. It could be in the intermediate realms of rising, no, not good enough, not good enough, not enough, not enough wealth, not enough power, not enough, not. Then say, La ilaha illa ant, subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Shaykh Saadi, I like your input on that in the Abrahamic traditions. I am sure there are numerous occasions when this truth has been shown as being the source of all visible, invisible, realizable truths. And Adnan also will regale us with the numerous ayahs, but please do read them before you faint. Because it's not possible for the human being to be able to take that high voltage. Really, it's not possible. Thank you for here. This is
go ahead. Sorry, Shaykh.
Visible gift. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bismillah.
You mentioned this this verse from the Quran, which the Prophet Eunice says when he's in the belly of the big fish, according to tradition. So it's that's really the epitome of the whole biblical tradition, that we're shown somehow that when we get so fully enmeshed in either our own ideas or in materiality, that we reach this sort of bottom point where we realize, okay, no one has done anything to me except for myself. It's all been my nafs doing it to me, and it's all from the grace of the ruh. So this is a difficult lesson. I don't think this is the ultimate discovery, but this is, the beginning of the ultimate is that we're not who we think we are. And I think this is what Eunice reaches this point. It's a wonderful story, actually, although the Quran doesn't tell it. It's told in other traditions. But in Islamic tradition, it seems that Eunice, when he's preaching, becomes too attached to his own ideas about what he's preaching to people. Again, depends on which of the stories of the prophets you read, but he becomes very, I don't know, we call it sort of rigid, and he wants people to surrender his way. He wants people to have, the belief, you could say, not the belief, the ideas to believe in that he has. And he obviously doesn't succeed in this. And then he throws up his hands and runs off. And that's how he ends up in the belly of the big fish, or the whale, according to the Bible. But, and this wonderful zikr, it's a type of remembrance,
Just Saadi, I
Inni
want
kuntu
you
minna al-zalimin.
may I request you your personal version from what you have come to know from this Abrahamic traditions about the story of Eunice Underwood. Give me your version as you understand it. We will not hold you responsible.
Okay, we can always edit it out later, Shaykh. Now, I read various versions, but I mean, this is my version.
Bismillah.
Eunice is born into a family, basically a family of people who have some opening to the other side. They're able to communicate in some way. I mean, in different traditions, they're called these shaman, and they were able to travel in other worlds. And we shouldn't be afraid of talking about this within the biblical tradition, because it's just a matter of words. What is a prophet except someone who receives from the other world and gives it, on behalf of people? But there were at that time various sort of, there were greater prophets and lesser prophets. So there were prophets, you could say, only of their village or only of their area, who would help people. We still have this today. I mean, it shouldn't be unusual. We have local people who have some sense of intuition, whether it's healers or something else, and then they help people to the degree that they're able to help them. And they're happy that way. And Eunice was very happy in his village, being, shall we call it, the local prophet, the person who was always helping. You mentioned this when you were just speaking, Shaykh, now. And then Eunice gets the call from the unseen, and he receives the call, and the message is, you have to leave what you're doing. You're too comfortable with what you're doing. You have to go to this big city and tell them, La ilaha illallah. There's only reality. And Eunice, doesn't really want to do it because he's happy where he is, and he's got a wife and children and all of these things, and they tie him down and so forth. But eventually he agrees to go, because anyway, if he doesn't, this is the voice he's been trusting. If he doesn't trust that voice, which voice is he going to trust? So he sets off on the journey, and along the way, and there are various versions of this, he misplaces, shall we say, his wife and children. They're caught, right crossing a river, and they're swept away. And Eunice ends up in Nineveh. I forgot it's near modern day Mosul, and starts to go into the town, into the city, and just says, La ilaha illallah, everybody listen, there's only one reality. This is it. God is real and whoever you, and they're all just ignoring him. They're wandering by, and and this goes on and on and on, and then he gets ready to quit, and he says, he says to the unseen, says to Allah, this is it. They're not listening. I don't want to be there any longer. Take me somewhere else. And Allah says, just give them one more chance, one more chance. I'm always compassionate. I'm always forgiving. So if there's no change after 40 days, then, I don't know, maybe I'll punish them. So Eunice keeps preaching, and nothing happens. And after 40 days, also nothing happens. So Eunice goes back to the unseen and says, hey, you promised punishment. Where's the punishment? And Allah says, just wait long. I'm Rahman and Rahim, and, you have to learn, be more open. And Eunice says, I quit. I'm leaving. I don't care anymore. And then he goes to the coast, gets passage on a ship, and then there's a storm, and this is same in the biblical and the Quranic tradition, except that in the Quranic tradition, in the Islamic tradition, I should say in the biblical tradition, the sailors on the ship, they play some sort of game of chance, or they cast lots to decide who the jinx is, who the person is that's causing this storm to arise, because there was still an understanding that outer conditions are mirrored by the inner state of a person. This was, in the ancient world, this was common. In the Islamic tradition, Yunus volunteers, and he says, no, I'm the one, I disobeyed. I turned against, what I knew to be, the correct connection. You could say my only connection, really. I turned against my ruh. And so, throw me overboard. This is, and so they do. They toss him overboard, and this is how he ends up in the big fish. So he had already begun his process, you could say, of tawab, of returning to the one by the time they've tossed him overboard. So when he's in the fish, this wonderful, wonderful phrase that the Quran mentions, La ilaha illa anta, subhanallah. Subhanallah. Nothing but you. Now I realize, you were the first, you were the last. You are Subhan. You are what I was swimming in all along, which is great in this particular circumstance, because he's in the whale, and the whale anyway. So, but I was swimming in your grace all along, and I never knew it. Even when people weren't listening to me. Inni kuntu minna zalimin. I was just I am at my very depths. I was taken to my very depths, the depths of my own nafs, the depths of my own humanity, which is what zalim really is. It's the denseness, the shadow. And our nafs is a shadow, according to the whole biblical tradition. We're created as a moving shadow of the divine, according to the biblical account in Genesis. It's just that. And Eunice realizes it again, and the whale spits him up on the shore. Goes on, goes back. He finds his wife and children again along the way. Goes back, and then in my version, he goes back to Nineveh, and he begins, just to work, not shouting from the street corners, but just in a small way with one or two people, and he finds some kindred friends and some people who listen to him, and that's the end of the story. It's not orthodox.
Thank you. Adnan, please give us 5 ayahs that punctuate what Sheikh Saadi had just said.
I don't know if it's 5, but I can. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Because I started counting today.
The
beginning of me and everything.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذي أعطى كل شيء خلقه ثم هدى. It's He who gave everything its creation and then guided.
Allah.
And that confirms all of these, is that everything has its special creation and its guidance with it. So everything is unique, everything reflects something higher. But we want, I guess, again, that confirms we want similarity and we want things to go on our way as the story goes, as in, why isn't this, you promised me or you that? And the lesson is, it's not like that. And again, this realization of these stories is through us. I mean, when I hear the story, I see me, myself, getting frustrated and angry because things are not going on. I mean, they're not listening to me, rightly or wrongly. And I go into my ego and and then the lesson is always the same, is that, hey, you're not, you're not you, whether you think you are or you're not, it's not your business kind of. And yes, it's again, قل كل شيء خلقه, everything has its that. And I think is a prophet, كل ميسر لما خلقه له.
Allah.
Everybody there's an ease towards whatever you were created for. So when there's always ease and dis-ease, but if I take on something that is not within my disposition on creation, it will be difficulty. So again, it's the question about realization. I mean, we have that. It's always, everybody says La ilaha illallah, everybody that's that, but it is the beginning is the declaration. Everybody's the entry to the path is the declaration. Ashhadu. That's the alpha, but the omega is also ashhadu, but in a real sense, not simply is not that there is this vast oneness, this vast energy. There's a verse, but again, what is me and my kind of interaction with it? That is the realization, I suppose, according to this, to my to every unique point of view, to see that. But once again, it's again looking at the Adamic part of it, isn't that another story of also myself? I am at this moment eating of the tree because I'm going from oneness to multiplicity and starting now to be in shijar and comparing. So and starting to comparing and says, oh, and okay, I'm now the preacher and I know and I am this, and suddenly I'm taking on lordship instead of ubudiyah. My purpose of creation is to be Abdullah, but suddenly I have all these attributes, including Rabb. Suddenly I want to be Rabb, and I want them to listen to me. And if they don't listen to me, I got angry and all that. And all this is shijar. So this is it. And then and of course, all of it is in that planning of Allah. أعطى كل شيء خلقه. You are meant to go down. قلنا اهبطوا. Go down to experience this for yourself, and that's the path of realization. So you created in this oneness of ashhadu an la ilaha, but I didn't know clearly. I didn't know what that means. So I had to go down and now go through the path of realization of duality. This is it, and I'm going through all these branches of the trees and and finding my way, and and I find most amazing thing about the Adamic fall is that the first aspect of realization, he says, astaghfirullah. It's like this path is at every same thing. Inni kuntu min al-zalimin, as in I am not seeing clearly. I'm in this shadowy world and I need istighfar. I need the covering because I cannot do it myself. And then أعطى كل شيء خلقه ثم هدى. Again, this aspect of guidance is that clearly without guidance, in the world of shadows is it's a loss. This aspect of our creation, our aspect of our configuration, contained within it is the guidance that comes from a deeper thing. And realize that or read that guidance. Another ayah, Iqra bismi rabbika. I mean, how come is that, you know, the first word of revelation is Iqra? I mean, if you just stay with that word and says, what is qara'a? I don't know, maybe in other languages. I mean, qara'a has so many different dimensions of, okay, read, but it also means to gather. Qarya, which is the community or is a gathering. So again, putting all these meanings is that, okay, how can I read my creation and my guidance and, you know, my purpose, and to have that realization. I mean, yes, the first words, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق. Again, there's so many different attributes and qualities. اقرأ باسم ربك, as in you cannot even read without the name, using by the name of your Lord. So you need an attribute of certain lordship to be to have that qira'ah, the reading. All this wonderful manifestation, these configurations of qualities that manifest as this magnificent creation, and it's all within us. That is ultimately is every story, every lesson in the is each of our stories. Eunice is one aspect of us, and whatever he is, and you see every prophetic is in a way our story, to find realization, to see what is it, and there are so many ups and downs with it, and it is part of this, you know, journey in this duality, this tree of duality. And that's it. We're constantly in that, خلقنا الإنسان في كبد وكان الإنسان أكثر شيء جدلا. All these different words or pathways, and to ultimately to know ourselves. In each, it's fascinating how each of the prophets or each of that, there is an entry point, whether it's Eunice's, or Musa, inni anastu naran. I just feel there's something there I need to go to. I have no choice, kind of thing. There is an aspect of no choice that we are again programmed with. There is something to say, I need to know, or I need to find out, or I need to, that kind of, there's an impulse of again, that is the discovery of life. What is life? These things that don't have an answer. Whether it is you ask the question of what is life, what is energy, what is that, are used every day, but try to pin it down. You cannot answer it in a the official answer is it's a potentiality. It's a potentiality to act, but that's not an answer, isn't it? It is something that, again, it's a realization of something that is pushing me. It is I am the potentiality. I am that. It's the potentiality of life to express itself in everything around us. The plant suddenly, especially in this season, and here now the spring coming out, you see them turning towards the sun and opening it up. And what do you call that? Isn't that life? Isn't that consciousness at a certain level? Again, it's all mirroring us. Everything around us is ayat. Another ayat is that everything is, we will show you our signs in the horizon and within yourselves, till you know that He is the truth. So all the signs is none other than the manifestation of the truth. Whether you look outside or inside, everything is signs and symbol for these qualities that has been manifested in the outer or the inner, as whether it's objects or qualities or whatever you think it is. It's ultimately, it is again, guidance to your, if we read these correctly, we have no choice but to see that he is the truth. إنه الحق. You cannot pinpoint the haqq because it's beyond that, beyond location, beyond thumb. You can only go through it through the signs. And again, أعطى كل شيء خلقه ثم هدى. We pray for guidance all the time. You know, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. اهدنا الصراط. If we don't have that hidayah, you know, that's why Fatiha is ultimately the central aspect of it is recognition and this اهدنا الصراط, اهدنا الصراط. Otherwise, I'll be in the whale. I'll remain in the whale. He says Lawla, and I think in the story of Adam, if it wasn't for he would remain forever in there. So if I don't recognize, I can remain forever in this darkness of duality. if I don't have that quality of istighfar, and calling for the covering of the light, such that the guidance can have a way out. I mean, in one of the from the story of Eunice, one of them is when he was thrown into this into this wilderness, and أنبتنا عليه شجرة من يقطين, which is, again, it's another maybe mysterious thing, is that there's a certain type of tree. He said he something. I still haven't figured out what that quality means. But again, there must be a quality within himself to, again, there's a symbol of a tree within that. This is amazing. This the symbol of the tree appears everywhere, whether it's sometimes it's in hell, sometimes it's heavenly, sometimes it's it's confusion and something. It's amazing. I don't know if I managed to get 5 out of this or not, Shaykh.
More. Your presence and your total loyalty and honesty precedes everything else. And therefore, it is truly transmitted. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, one thing I just wanted to accentuate, and this is where every human being is driven by, what can I do? Truly, the answer is, before any sound emerges, is shut up and don't do anything. It's done already. Or do. What can I do? What can I do? This is childish, FOMO. Can I do it? I'd like to I have to do something. I've done this. Look at the book start. Don't do anything. It's already done. Why are you doing it? In ahsantum فلأنفسكم. And the ultimate ihsan is being in the intimate, timeless, eternal moment. That is the ultimate ihsan. It's endless, boundless, timeless, and not personal. Don't do. Learn not to do. As a child, yes, you do. Put in your mouth, put in your hand, and on and on and on until such time you find it's already there. All what you need is to observe. It's not good enough because you need permission now. It has to be Bismillah. Bismillah, there is no you anymore. And then you see and you see and you see and you see. So inna arsalnaka shahidan. And that is enough to make you faint no matter who and where you are. And then you wake up to the reality of the light itself after you've fainted away from this confusing intermediate reality, half awake, half asleep. That's all. It's already done. You and I need to accept the plan and truly express the total loyalty. And that's what happened with Eunice. His loyalty ended up him being swallowed by the whale. Total loyalty, total honesty, total single-pointedness towards haqq. But at the moment, you are also a human. So you must make allowance for the cover of humanity. They can't take it. You can't expect them all to قالوا بلى. They won't do it. So do what you can and enough. That's it. And with total trust that Allah is the creator of limitations, because He is within limits, beyond limits, utter limits, creator of these limits, in a sense that we appreciate. But in truth, He is boundless, eternal, ever present, everywhere and nowhere. That's it. So you have to accept that magnificent miracle of miracles. And then for that, you really need your friends, because that is suprasanity. The rest of them are wallowing in their confused insanity. But you need few people who connect without a language. Say, yes, this is the truth. But we are here struggling in the zone of shadows of the truth. And that's wonderful. And that's part of the plot, part of the play, part of the plan. So then you are content, knowing that there are numerous other stages that we will go through. The other stage is the loss of the illusion of I. It's only there to humor us, to participate. Yes, I did that, and I was more generous, I was more kind. Why? Because that was, again, a good step towards losing the ego self. Before you truly awaken to the gift of the gift of the gift, that the controller is utterly perfect, totally present, most just, most Rahman and Rahim. So what is that you want? What is it you're looking for? It's already there. So all what you have to say is Qalu Bala, yes. And then you are now living as a ruh. And then La khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. Whoever expresses fear or sorrow, know they are in this portable, short-term hospital of the earthly transit. That's all. Nothing wrong with that. It's part of the whole play. Wake up to the basic patterns, which are divine and are not changeable as such. What is changeable is which field are you subjecting yourself to? Which intensity of chemistry or physics or movement are you allowing yourself to be buffeted by the wind of destiny? For that, you really need grace. And I consider it one of the biggest graces for us to be together with utter reference to the one, respect and love to whatever that one appears, and acknowledgement of gratitude and joyfulness and celebration. So rather than base humanity, oh, I'm not well, I don't have enough money, or I'm dying. The most natural thing is to move on from this zone through the process of death. If we don't wake up to the next phase, then we are not ready for the move upward in consciousness. That's it. For that, you need Shaykh Saadi and Adnan. And that's why I would follow them anywhere, anytime. Shaykh Saadi, please sum up for me this dilemma. Oh.
We're unlimited beings in a limited body. That's the dilemma.
Oh.
For a temporary period of time and space, and creates confusion, but also a lot of joy when we realize, as I say, we're not who we thought we were.
Oh. Adnan, tell me something about Nefari.
Yes, it's the mawqif. It's fascinating. This Nifar is all about the mawaqif. He says the stopping places, and it's like these. It's like between between worlds, or between there is a stopping place, or between stations, or between maybe levels of consciousness. There is this mawqif, stopping place, where it's like it's where you found the stillness, the still point, maybe, let's say. So in this domain of action, everything is action, everything is movement, everything is expression, everything is, impermanent. Yet there is a sense of maybe it's a paradox, but it's not. But there is a still point, that we are both the stillness and the movement, the عالم الشهادة and عالم maybe الغيب, but there is I don't know whether I suppose it's a barzakh also, that where there's a still point where everything is seen clearly, where everything is, you are in this, middle, where عالم الشهادة and عالم الغيب are, visible, I don't know if it's not visible, but comprehended. And that's what Neferi is, his kind of special, is that you have to find in this journey, which can be endless, infinite, because Allah's manifestation, creation, expression is infinite. There is no beginning and there is no end. I mean, where can you navigate through this? But there is these amazing, seems to be stopping points which we all need as human beings. I mean, it's like, you're both the unlimited and the limited, and the mawqif, and he has all these mawaqif, and each represent a certain, maybe a quality that is, the stopping point of knowledge, or the stopping point of hope, or the stopping point, or some other qualities, where simply it's like a lens, where one lens is holographic. Maybe that concept of the hologram comes in, is that in each facet of the universe or experience, you can see every other facet. So maybe through the one facet of a stopping point of, you see rahmah, but it's a lens that is holographic, that displays everything else at the same time. It is this fascinating of I don't know, hall of mirrors, or hall of, I don't know how to describe it, but although we are, again, each of us unique, maybe come to our path through different unique lenses. For me, khayal, the lens of khayal is what enables the consciousness to see this. And yes, and each of us have if we allow it, have these stopping points of simply not doing. Again, it's that place of non-action, which has everything. That point of stopping. Stop there. Be still and see. Be still and read, and then. And I guess that is the stillness of the soul vision of everything. Through each qualities, or each path of the journey that we go on, we need these points of stillness. I mean, I guess each salah, you can say, is a point of stillness. Go to this regular, leave everything. Wadarul bay', darul bay', all this transaction. There's and just be still, be here with me, and and this month, the fast, whatever is, these are points of stillness. Each stage of the Hajj is a mawqif. So we need to kind of catch these mawaqif.
So if you invite Neferi for iftar and you don't invite me, So I said, why is that? Look, this is one of the very few people I would have liked to sit with. And you come back and say, no, he sends you his greeting. He said, be still. That's why.
Yeah, I think another person, Sheikhna, is which is fascinating is the Amir Abdul Qadir al-Jazairi.
Allah.
And he's the one. He somehow combines
True.
a modern, one side mawaqif and Ibn Arabi and even Imam Ali. Outwardly the fighter, inwardly the lover, kind of.
Allah, how true.
It's very fascinating. I've just been through his that life that really combined the both in the modern day of guns and steel. You got this being that is really did what he can outwardly, like Imam Ali. He was without choice, with no choice, been thrown into this, go and do your jihad. And inwardly he is, being cooked, being cooked until he got to a point in his life and he's actually in the Ghar of Hira and everything exploded for him. Subhanallah. Again, that's his mawqif. His mawaqif is one of really is an amazing read. That's it's a modern Nifri.
True. But do invite me if he comes for a funny.
We're waiting for our ticket from Sheikh Saadi, Sheikhna.
All right. Sheikh Saadi is such a perfectionist that I think we should give him a timeline. Otherwise, he will just change the calligraphy and change it.
True.
So, Sheikh Saadi, what is there for us to do?
Well, as Adnan was talking about, we have to Ikra, but I wanted to bring in here that Ikra originally, speaking of where it comes from, it in the old Semitic languages there were different words for saying or speaking, and Ikra was one of them. Mm-hmm. And it meant to, as you speak, as a person spoke, the understanding was that one was carving or engraving one's reality, and that this is what God does at the beginning of creation. When God speaks the universe, when Allah or Elohim speaks the universe into existence, this speaking is part of the Adamic consciousness. Then it's the gift, you could say, that is given for us to, as we speak, to formulate the way we experience life, the way we smell, touch, taste, and feel it. In other words, that things are not just out there, how do we say, in some inert way, waiting for us to name them, but that the naming is a way of, how do we say, in a small way, a way of creating them. Because when we perceive something a certain way, it's as though then we handle it a certain way, we manipulate it a certain way, or we honor it in a certain way. And that's what changes. So what's up to us then is to begin, at least for ourselves, speaking to ourselves, what is really what. In other words, speaking, you could say, a different reality than what we find around us in popular culture, or what we find being, how do we say, being broadcast through the different airwaves, whether internet or news or things like that. So, and this is Khayal. I mean, this, you could call it Khayal, but for earlier peoples, it was understood that we are, you could say, the consciousness of the consciousness that is coming through my small nafs is participating in the way things appear around me. So speaking clearly, speaking rightly, or not speaking at all. But you could say breathing, perceiving, carving with one's breath, with one's silence. This is very important, I would say. I, whatever I is.
So it's all to do with dhikr, and that is based on hudur, presence. Dhikr is remembrance, which is timeless, the origin
Yes.
for anything. And it is to do that. أسألوا أهل الذكر. You remember that which is the origin of anything that recalls, or the mind and whatever it has is in it, in forgetting or remembering. That's it. The rest is the nur that weaves everything together. And that is the nature of the rule. Well, can I then say that I would like very much to follow both of you, and without saying anything, sit there quietly? Would you allow me without me needing to have a ticket?
The ticket is there from the beginning, Shaykh. From
Exactly.
eternity.
See,
Agreed.
this is the danger of people of light. They immediately move to before the inscription, before the. So that's,
It's
and
a
you
free
can't argue
pass.
them.
Yes.
Thank you, Adnan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for really, truly, truly, and Sheikh Saadi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's such a delight. It surpasses all other gifts, honestly. But do keep on sending the other gifts as well, because otherwise there is FOMO. Because there is humanity. And don't forget your share of the visible. Now I want more, not enough. Until such time, I don't know where I put it, whether it's useful or not. I have to come and clear it. And that is the glory of actually death. He died. Look at all these things he left behind. He never used them. That's it. Just think, what if I need it? And what if they all are not there? What if there is no food? What if there's what if the marauders of 5,000 years ago have suddenly ended up here? What if? Go back again to origin, trust in the one. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.